All right, welcome back. This is the sCAP course with Dr. VG. We are on lesson 3. We're talking about bias this week, and we actually have a lot to talk about. So let's hop to it. All right, and that brings us to the concept of race. So we're looking at, what is it, a concept of grouping people by physical and genetic traits. It sounds easy to be able to do that, right? We are more than what we look like, obviously. But it's easy to categorize people by what you can see. And let's say I'm an introvert. I'm not going to say, let's say I'm an introvert. I am an introvert. I would be considered an extroverted introvert. What do I mean by that? Oh, let's invert and stuff. What I mean by that is that I normally stay quiet. There's a t-shirt, and there's a phrase on a t-shirt. I've always wanted one of these t-shirts. It says, better to be silent and thought of a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. I love that. I like that t-shirt. I've always wanted that stupid thing, but I've never bought it. That's kind of my motto. I would be silent and just listen. I've sat in board meetings and I don't say much. I speak when I need to. We're going down the wrong path. Someone's veering off directions. I'll say something then. Outside of that, some people like hearing themselves talk. I'm not that kind of a person. I sit and do things. I can go into a party and just blah, blah, blah. Oh, people love to see. Oh, we can't wait to get Doc V talking. Well, yeah, that's cool, but it's like something my daughter said the other day. I'm recharging my social battery. I had no idea what she was talking about. Just lying on the floor sleeping. I was like, I didn't even know what she was. I thought it was a stuffed animal coming to life. When I called, where are you? She moved up her head. I was like, whoa, I did. I didn't even know. She's recharging her social battery. And it was coming off of the holiday season and all kinds of people she was interacting with. And she just burned out. She needed to take it easy. She is like I am. She's an introvert at her core. You can't tell that for all intents and purposes. If I see her walking down the street, I can't tell for all intents and purposes that she's an introvert. What I can see is that it's hard. I can't tell that my daughter is white or black. She looks like a Latina. I mean, that's what she kind of looks like. But that's with my eyes. And I'm saying that with my eyes because that's something quick that I can do. These things evolved this way. I mean, that's how it works. I want to be able to see that there are stripes on that great big giant cat over there. I mean, there's a difference. I mean, one cat has big stripes. One cat might be, I don't know, brown and cuddly. I want to know what that striped one is. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the eyes do for you. It allows you to quickly categorize things. Keeps us alive. I think that's a stick over there. It's not a stick, it's a snake. You know how Doc V feels about snakes. It's a snake. I'm not going to go in that direction. I know my eyes can fool me, but we do trust them. So in the racial sense, we do look at those things. In many instances, it is and does have to do with visual characteristics. Curly hair, pigment of skin, general nose shape, some body builds. I don't even know if that matters, but it is, because we're all different. All humans are different. And some scientists look at this slightly different. Science has said of late that there isn't really a biological distinction for race. It really doesn't exist. It's more of a social construct. So it's something that society has created, this distinction to look at people a certain way based upon physical characteristics, so that we can apply decisions, actions, so that we can apply rules across a whole swath of people who we might want to restrict or provide benefits to. It depends on how you look at it. So if you subscribe to this being a social construct, then in some instances you could look at race as being a means of socially restricting, almost like a depressing force upon a certain group of people, simply because of the way that they look, some other physical characteristics. So they have research behind that. But then I think in the same token, you have others who would say that we are different. All right. I know I used to be taught. To be colorblind, right? I mean, there are a lot of people who say that. I proudly said that. I remember many times saying I was colorblind. The idea behind it is that the colorblindness means, the way I understood it in the past, it meant that I did not see color as a barrier. I would accept anyone regardless of what kind of physical attributes were there. I mean, that's what it really meant, all right? It's not that I was blind, and not that I couldn't see it, not that it wasn't there. It was a mental construct. It was a mental explanation that I could present to anyone. I'm colorblind, meaning that I did not view color as any kind of determining factor for any kind of human relationship that I had. All right. Now, that might be the way I thought about it. That might be the way lots of people think about it. And to be honest with you, I understand, and from my perspective, it is a noble position. I understand it and I welcome it. However, there is another side of the coin that says, but we are different. You just can't say that you're colorblind. I am brown. And because I am brown, there are things that you should recognize about me. You should accept about me. Accept the fact that I am different. The fact that you would say that you're colorblind means that you're not accepting my differences. You're just saying that we're all the same. And I guess that's, again, you can understand why you would say that we're all the same, but then you could understand why others might say that I'm proud of who I am. And this means I'm proud. I don't want you to say that I'm the same. I want you to see that I am different, and I want you to accept it, and I want you to be proud with me. That's what that means. All right? That's what that means. And as I said, there are lots of ways of looking at it. And if you understand and accept that that's where that's coming from, it makes it a bit easier to comprehend when they say, or when people might say, I disagree with your perspective on color blindness. I don't think that works at all. Well, understand, that's where I explained it. That's where it came from. And when you have the opposite side says you need to look and recognize and accept me for who I am, that's where that's coming from. All right, because it's not always race. I mean, you have that in gender as well. I mean, it's there. We have big issues over this. We are different. There are differences between us, and we should accept. We should be able to accommodate those differences. Look at the diversity of what we are and allow that to strengthen us. That's what we're talking about. Now we're moving on to a next section here. We have another activity. Yay! That's all great. I feel like Ernie and Bert. Yay! Take 20 minutes. If you've ever seen Sesame Street, you know what I'm talking about. Take 20 minutes, visit with a group, so that you can have a discussion on these various things. Section 2.7 you find inside of the book is what we're actually talking about. Think carefully as you discuss the justification for segregation, justifying it. You understand? There are people who justify segregating. And there are many people on both sides. People you might not necessarily see. I mean, we fought a war, or a civil war here in this nation. And then there was about 100 years of segregation. You would think that, we would move towards that, but there are forces and groups that believe in segregation today. And I'll touch on that in just a second. So at times, make sure that your arguments are readily supported. Regarding assimilation and integration, looking at current events, understand politics and emotions saturate this place. There are strong emotions here. Try and keep your conversations, not at a minimum, try and keep your conversations on the level. Talking about the topics, keep them sane, right? We're not trying to get anybody angry. We're trying to understand things. Does society do a good job reconciling these concepts? I don't know. I think maybe that's why we're here. I don't know. I've been at a conference and I've heard people make the case. I have. I mean, we were just talking about race. We were just talking about differences. We're just talking about being able to look at someone and accept who they are, but while at the same time not looking at them and automatically building barriers. I mean, hey, let's say that there are multiple ways you can look at that coin, but I've been at a conference where I'm hearing, in some ways, there's some position that would say, Wes, we have the research to prove that young black men, young black boys in a classroom would be best served when they are taught by black male teachers. And there are some people who would set up schools solely for that purpose of educating black males and only wanting black men to teach them. Now, here's what I am going to say. Previously, in a previous video, I spoke about my boys and how they grew up and the perspectives that they were exposed to. It allowed them to look up to certain people. I talked about Will Smith. They looked at Will Smith. He was a hero. He could do all kinds of things. They looked at Dad. I'm the dad. I do great things. My sons learned from me. But then again, they had mothers who were a different race, and they learned from her too. I mean, they did. So, is there is there a better way of doing things? I can say with a certainty that when my sons saw me or someone like me, they internalized it. Wow, I can do that too. That's what they got. And that's where some of the research is moving towards. Well, that internalization of almost like self-worth or self-esteem and it building the core of their personality such that they can feel safe enough to branch out because I see you did it. So if you did it and made it, well, maybe I can do it and make it. That's where that comes from. I understand it, but the other side of the coin is, or it really is this. Yeah, you can do that in an education setting, but then what? Release people into a society that's not set up that way. I mean, how do you reconcile that? I mean, how do you? So if you did, I mean, there are and have been groups. I think of like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. They have groups. These are communities of practice. Well, I do touch on communities of practice in just a little bit, but there are. I mean, they're in a way in an educational space, and they allow it, but they are in a more formal sense. I'm hearing research pushing and proposing real, true segregation. And it almost harkens back to the idea that's really, I don't want to say opposing assimilation, but really reinforcing the integration, the salad bowl of America. We are different. We are distinct. We have pride in this area. We bring these characteristics. When we get melted into this, those characteristics are gone. They're subsumed inside of this mixture. And maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't, but part of us dies when that happens. And that is, I mean, if that's defining a person, you can understand how that could have a big impact on how they look at things. Right? We're all like this. This is all part of who we are. But nevertheless, this goes on in our day and age. There are still issues around busing of students back and forth. I mean, I speak a lot about this in terms of education because I've spent a good portion of my career and time in an education space. About half the time I spent in corporate America doing corporate America things. But then I went into education, and here's where I am. So we do have these concepts rolling about inside of society. Do we do a good job reconciling it? I don't know. Do we do a good job handling it and making sure that equity and equality are core components of our decision makings? Unsure with that as well. I can tell you this. Because we are a capitalist society, because we are a society really, the dollar rules everything. That's how it works here in the United States. People talk about, and I talk about this later on, but we'll talk about where the money for schools go. I mean, who gets the brand new schools? Who gets the best teachers? Many instances, I mean, it could have been looked at in the past to say that, well, all the best teachers, all the brightest, all the best teachers, all the best schools, the brightest teachers, they all went to areas where there weren't black people. I mean, maybe, or weren't Native American people, or whatever. There's another side to that. Perhaps it went to the place where money existed. All right. That was research recently that I read over the past few years that were talking about, we talk about and put a lot of stock in the 1%, the 3%, and how they rule the world. Well, to be honest with you, for the things that we actually care about, at least in here in the United States, well, to be honest with you, I see brand new schools going up where brand new neighborhoods are going up. Yeah, it's money, it's class, it's where I can get the best bang for the buck. People are moving out here. We're going to buy and build new shopping centers. We're going to build new banks. We're going to build new restaurants because there's a lot of tax base moving into this section. So we're going to put all the money there, and they're going to have all these buildings. They're going to have all these shops, Home Depot, Menards, all the rest of these stores are going in there, and these people are going to have kids, and we're going to build schools and bring in the best teachers that we can. It's the 20%. The 20% of our society, the 20% that's making that money in that group, that's in some areas of research, that's where it's saying the schools are going. Hence, it impacts and has a follow-up effect on equity and equality across society. So take out this activity and we'll get back